I know you've done that for me before. I know one time we were at dinner and I had told you, you know what, I feel like I've just been having certain other things going on. And I feel like I am drinking a little more than I would like to. And then I went to order a second drink and you called me on it. And I
Yeah.
think what you encourage people to do is to, have an Anthony in their own head rather
Yeah.
than sitting across the table from them. And so that's what I'm sort of getting at. Like, how do you get to that place where you can call yourself on your self-lies?
My method of getting people to call themselves on their own stuff essentially is instead of telling people how to live their lives, I try to illuminate to them how they're allowing themselves to live. You can tell people how to live all you want to, and that's not necessarily something that most folks are receptive to. This person doesn't know me. What is he saying? We have different circumstances, blah, blah, blah. But when you make change a question that that you allow people to answer, it comes across in a completely different headspace. Like, for example, when folks bring up self-sabotage, that's one of my favorite ones to magnify just because that's a real conversation.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I ask people on a regular basis, are you actually getting better or are you creating a false narrative? Like is it distraction that you're after or is it improvement? And I think it's those things that when you ask the right person or the person that's truly ready to get better and progress, it comes across in a way where they're like, yeah, he got me. like you know what? Maybe I should turn it to the right. I think there's a level of accountability that you must allow people to exercise. And if you don't allow them to exercise that, there really can be no growth. There really can be no progress.
I hear you, and I feel like part of it, too, is just the idea that you said it earlier, but it's easy to lie to yourself as compared to others, because it's what you do, I think, is hold up the mirror. It's rather than say, like, hey, don't order another drink. It's, I heard you say this 5 minutes ago, and I see you doing this now.
Yes.
So to me, it's more about saying and acknowledging and being that mirror to another person than becoming that mirror for yourself.
Yes.
Than it is necessarily about, anything else.
Yes. I'm a huge believer that there are no hard conversations. That's just something that we tell ourselves to kind of make ourselves feel better about them. Like, oh, well, if this person says it's a hard combo, then we don't got to talk about it. Like, we as a society, that whole idea of like, we can't talk about politics and we can't talk about religion, it allows us to not talk about many other things too. Because then what happens is we'll talk about like a woman's control over her body. Oh, no, that's politics. Or, oh, no, that's religion. Actually, no, it's a woman's control over her body. So instead of like putting things in silos and just throwing everything in the silo, let's take everything out the silo and have healthy conversations. Have like the one thing that I'm big on, I'm actually happy that you brought it up. And now that we're like flowing and I'm grooving again, is people would rather avoid a hard conversation than like dismantle injustice. Does that make sense? Like people would rather, I'd rather not talk about it and let women live in fear of sexual assault with impunity than have a hard conversation. Like that's not okay to me. And that shouldn't be okay to anybody. Like a woman's safety is not a political thing. You can't tell me that. Like when I have a daughter, I'm not gonna be like, oh well, it's political, boo boo, get over it. Like, no, I can't come home and say that when she cries to me, and I say like that's just not the way that works. So that just doesn't that doesn't fly. That's a poor excuse. That's like folks who use the word plateau or folks who use the word coincidence or no. You've found the words to justify your complacency, and I'm not here to be complacent. That's not our purpose. God didn't put us here to be that. Like, no, I'm good on that. So no, there are no hard conversations. We just gotta do some hard work, period.
What does a day in your life look like? I think you talk a lot about being your best self. Like, what do you wake up and do? What think, eat?
Solid question. I mean, oatmeal, banana, almond butter. What else? Eggs somewhere. At least 2 cups of coffee. But the majority of it, and like I said earlier, it's a lot of it's about rumination. It's about reflecting and processing feelings, having a majority of unfinished conversations. Just making sure I'm growing. preparing myself in in all ways for the life that I'm intended to live. From a standpoint of like, there's certain things that I'll tell myself on my road to progress, right? Right now is the least busy I'll ever be. Like if everything else and when everything else falls in place the way it's supposed to, this would be like the most chill my life will ever be. And being okay with that. Like having the conversations of, it's not about hiding or trying to cover up how difficult your best life is. It's about coming to terms with it or coming to terms with it and choosing it anyway. I think that's the thing that's just huge. It's I'm not trying to talk myself out of things. I'm preparing myself and realizing, okay, so from a like just from a calendar standpoint, what does that look like? From a sleep standpoint, what does that look like? From a food standpoint, workout standpoint, work-life balance standpoint, energy standpoint, like, and maybe it's because I'm living my truth and I'm aware that my whole life goes into everything that I'm doing, but just really being mindful that I'm covering all the bases. I don't want anything that I can control to be holding me back. When it's my time to win, when it's my time to shine, I'm ready. I am ready. I can't control the weather. I can't control if you don't see my talent, but everything else, ready. So that's kind of what the day legit is. And like, of course, emails and like collaboration and next move stuff, but it's really preparation.
I'm sure everyone really wants to know how many times a day you work out.
Well, on a good day, 3, bad day, minimum 2, with 1 day off.
Okay.
Yeah. On a good day, 3.
And now the people know.
Bad day, 2.
Give the people what they want, as I have said in our past interviews. So I want to begin to wrap up by talking about what people can expect in season 2 of the podcast.
Great question. So season 2 essentially, it coalesces around the theme of self-actualization. Before this, or before self-actualization, the idea was pillars of empowerment. But I've grown to realize that there's a lot of empowered people that still don't love themselves, that aren't living their truth, pretty miserable, and empowerment just wasn't aiming high enough. Self-actualization ideally is a human being living up to their fullest potential. I think that matters. And I think that's really what we're all looking for. Sometimes folks talk about money and success and this, that, and the third, but there's folks with money and all that, and they're really, really sad. So before you get there, just let me tell you that that's not going to like satisfy you. That's not going to satiate you. But I think really getting people on the road and on a journey to living their best life, to living their truth, is invaluable. There's an adage that and I believe it and totally makes sense to me, but human beings don't necessarily know, or human beings can't fathom the depths of love until they've had a child. And I think that human beings can't fathom the depths of happiness until they live their truth. And it's one of those things where before having a child, you know what love is. Like, you get that concept, but you can see how having a kid has completely changes that whole feeling and emotion. And on my journey towards me living my truth and things just going in the right direction and opportunities opening up, this, that, and the third, there's a level of like excitement and energy and like enthusiasm that I have to wake up every day and do what I get to do that I just didn't quite feel before. And if we can all be on a similar path, I think that'd be amazing. So if I can help people get more in tune and get more aligned with that voice inside themselves that they try to quell because they just don't think they're that special, or they don't think they're fortunate, or at times their current circumstances are just so rough that they can't see themselves being successful. I want to help that. I want to be a part of that solution. I don't think anybody's here to be regular. I genuinely don't.